Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing our Jeskai Ascendancy deck, and this time we are playing against an Abzan Collected Company deck. So let's get underway. Chat seems to be working. Okay, so here's our opener. We've got Taxing Probe, Carroted, Jeskai Ascendancy, Faithless Looting, and a Fate Stitcher. It's a pretty sweet hand. Has everything we need really. We play the turn 2 Carroted into a turn 3 Ascendancy, then got our little cantrips to get going, and we've got a Fate Stitcher. So we'll need to find a few other bits, but this looks like an excellent hand. Let's lead off with Island. I could have left off with City of Brass, but I think that gives our opponent probably a better idea of the kind of deck we are playing, so I figured leading off with an Island was best. Which is very, very disappointing. I'm going to lose that Jeskai Ascendancy, so we're going to have to find another one, or a Glittering Wish. Just run out the City of Brass, because our opponent's already seen it, and then plays a Hierarch, so wasn't entirely sure what our opponent was on. Must be the Rock or something. Didn't really know. I used Faithless Looting, so I could dig a little bit deeper. Find a couple more cantrips, which is nice, which hopefully will be able to dig us into our into another Ascendancy or a Glittering Wish. And then we also get to dump the Fate Stitcher into the yard, which is where it wants to be. Sleight of Hand finds me a Glittering Wish. It's good. We can Glittering Wish now, but given that we know our opponent's got Thoughtseize, I don't really want to Glittering Wish our only Jeskai Ascendancy in the board, only for it to get Thoughtseize, because then that option is no longer available to me. So I'm going to hope to draw another land, and then be able to Glittering Wish and Jeskai Ascendancy in the same turn. Being green-black though, we do also have to be wary that he might well have an Abrupt Decay. Fortunately, our opponent's able to tell, Witness, and Thoughtseize to lose the Glittering Wish. I decided the Thought Scar end of turn, which puts the Taxing Probe and the land into the bin, and we draw a Mana Metamorphose off of that. We draw another Glittering Wish, but we don't have a land, so I think I decided to take the same play and just hope to draw under any particular pressure, but obviously we don't want to get our hand completely destroyed. Attacks with Eternal Witness, which is a 3-2 thanks to Exalted, so obviously not going to be blocking that. Another Thoughtseize takes a Glittering Wish out of our hand, so having a bit of a nightmare. I decided to Faithless Looting just to dig that much deeper, as these draw spells aren't doing as much good. We find Ideas Unbound, which is a nice way of drawing a lot deeper. Pitch your Taxing Probe and a Mana Metamorphose. Obviously all these cards are good, and we need cantrips to get our Jeskai Ascendancy combo going, which is why I don't really want to use them all before I actually find an Ascendancy. And our opponent plays a Restoration Angel, blinks the Eternal Witness, and gets back a Thoughtseize, so this is kind of a nightmare game. Our opponent's just been able to completely disrupt our hand for basically a chance with Ideas Unbound to find something. Fortunately, we just draw into a load of rubbish, or nothing useful anyway. I'm just going to discard all these bops because we don't particularly need them. Then drops the Scavenging Ooze and the Kitchen Things off it of a Collected Company, and I think that will wrap it up. I'm not just dead, but Scavenging Ooze can get rid of our Fate Stitches in the yard, and there's just very little chance that we're going to be able to win, even if we drew a Jeskai Ascendancy off the top. So yeah, that is the game. Yeah, because even if I don't see any way of winning, basically. So I just conceded there. I suppose we could have gone to the next turn just to see how it goes, but yeah, that pretty much wrapped that up. So let's go on to game 2. These are numbered in the wrong order for some reason. Get rid of the chat as well. So we're going to be on the play here. Another nice hand, Thought Scar, Gitaxian Probe, Ascendancy, Caryatid, and 3 lands. This looks good, provided we don't get hit by turn 1 Thoughtseize again. Draw another Jeskai Ascendancy, which is brilliant. Obviously, it means we're now protected against the possibility of a hand disruption spell or an abrupt decay that can kill our Ascendancy. I played Goyf, which we're more than happy with. I drew into Leyline of Sanctity. I could have played the Ascendancy here and tried to go off, which possibly was a better idea, but I decided to go and just drop a Leyline and protect my hand. That way there's no chance of him like abrupt decaying a Jeskai Ascendancy and then thought seizing me and everything going to pot, I guess. Because there's a reasonable chance we will fizzle on just a Gitaxian Probe and a Thought Scour, and I would like to have some more cards in hand when I try and go off. So we draw Serum Visions off the top, which is really nice. That gives us a lot more scope for finding more cards to go off with, and we're not under any particular pressure at the moment, and we're safe from Thoughtseize thanks to Leyline of Sanctity being in play, so fairly happy with that position. So I'm going to drop an Ascendancy. I'm just going to go with Thought Scour. I really want to hit some Fate Stitches into the yard if possible, or maybe a Loam just to make sure that we can have repeat to a card to keep going off with. Hunt does have the Abrupt Decay there. So I mill, we find a Fate Stitcher, which is brilliant, and we drop a Drilling Rush into the yard. Pass the turn over. Hunt's going to attack me for 4, which is fine. Got to hope here that he doesn't have a second Abrupt Decay, because hopefully and that we don't fizzle out, I guess. Also, so Serum Visions. We get to loot, so I'm going to pitch the Fate Stitch into the yard. We draw Life from the Loam, which is brilliant. If I didn't have an answer to this Fate Stitcher, that means we can pretty much combo off indefinitely. Well, not indefinitely. We do have a limited number of cards in our library, but just means that we don't have to worry too much about fizzling. So probably just play this out because it's probably going to take a while. Serum Visions. Just going to pitch the Caryatid. Top 2 cards are not draw spells, so we just want rid of those. I find another Jeskai Ascendancy, which is brilliant. It means we can grow our creatures that much faster. Use Gitaxian Probe here. And another Life from the Loam, which we just going to pitch into the bin. Play see. Meanwhile, we're just looting through our deck. I'm going to use Loam, which will get us 3 more lands into our hand, which allows us to loot more often. Just gives us stuff to loot away. We're actually at risk of fizzling here, unfortunately, because we've actually not drawn any more cantrips. But as I say, fortunately we've got Loam, so we can just dredge that back into hand off one of the looting effects. We decided to dredge both back. I think we saw our opponent's hand earlier, so we know our opponent's hand has Collected Company in it, so actually attacking through our opponent with this large Fate Stitcher is not going to work, because he can drop as many as 2 creatures onto the battlefield. Fortunately, we have Flesh and Blood in our sideboard, so it's probably the easiest way to kill our opponent will be to get that out of the sideboard with a Glittering Wish, which is why I'm a little bit reluctant to use Loam too much if I can avoid using Loam, because we've already got 2 Glittering Wishes in the graveyard, and if we mill all our Glittering Wishes, then it's going to be a very big struggle to attack through to get the kill. So that's why I really want to get that Flesh and Blood if possible. So we draw a Thought Scour, which is good. Means we can combo using that instead. We can carry on using that. So we're just going to keep looting 1 card at a time. I end up dredging away another Glittering Wish, so we actually became very close. Glittering Wishes into the bin, which is pretty awful. I don't know if you want like a Noxious Revival in the deck or something, just to sort of help prevent that from happening. But either way, mill all your cards into your important cards into the bin. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. When you don't have to dredge, don't dredge, is generally my philosophy. Just try and go on as long as you can, and then obviously don't go beyond that, because risk of losing the game. So we get pretty far. We eventually find the 4th Glittering Wish in the deck. Here we're pretty huge. We've got 2 17 power guys and this 3 power Fate Stitcher. We have the Fate Stitchers in the other 11 cards in our deck, which we've actually got down that far, which is pretty crazy. We could have actually just got through our whole deck. So we just, I mean, we couldn't need to loot. We don't particularly need to, though. Probably would have been a good idea to just keep a bit of an eye on the cards, the number of cards in your library, so you don't accidentally kill yourself. To target the Caryatid with Blood and just deal 21 damage to our opponent. Obviously, I use the Caryatid because it's got Hexproof, so there's nothing you can actually do. I knew his hand anyway, but if he did have a path or something for this Fate Stitcher, then that would have kind of ruined that. So yeah, managed to get the kill. It did take some time though, and we are down to, I think, 7 minutes on the clock, which unfortunately does become a deck. Takes a long time to play, and also there's actually a lot to think about when you're playing the deck. So as someone who is not particularly used to playing the deck, it is quite difficult, and I have done quite a bit of practice, but it is a tough one. So this is our opener. It's basically got everything we need. Got a couple of cantrips. I can't quite remember what I got Path to Exile in for. Can't quite remember how I sideboarded. This is a Line of Sanctity came in. I'm sorry, I forgot to actually speak about sideboarding. Sideboarding is quite difficult, as it's difficult to know what cards to take out, just because obviously that can damage the consistency of your deck. I think Path to Exile's in for potential Spell Skites. Spell Skites can redirect Fate Stitcher's ability, which is an issue. Basically, if they've got enough life, they can keep redirecting your Fate Stitcher and cause you to not gain mana off its ability, which in turn can cause you to fizzle out. So I think that's the reason I brought Path in here. But yeah, this hand's very sweet. We've got the Caryatids we need. We've got a Glittering Wish to find the Jeskai Ascendancy. We've got some cantrips, and we've got a Path as well. Which, I mean, even if it's not particularly relevant, it is a 1 mana spell, so it can still untap everything you've got. You just don't get to draw a card off it, so still got a fine card to be in the deck. So opponent leads off with the Verdant Catacombs. Thankfully, we are not seeing a Thoughtseize on turn 1. We'll fetch up a Breeding Pool, Serum Visions. So we obviously need to hit Howlands. So yeah, that was the risky part of this play, is that we actually, even though we are on the draw, we definitely need to hit those lands. But fortunately we're very lucky, and it works out pretty nicely for us. that's about as ideal as it can get. We've got a Scalding Talent into a Jeskai Ascendancy on top, so more than happy with that. Obviously that Jeskai Ascendancy being on top of our library and us knowing it's there allows us to avoid any hand disruption he might have, so probably just going to be able to hard cast that, and then we've got the Glittering Wish backup if we need it. So we're just going to leave those cards as they are. Pump Thoughtseize is now taking the Glittering Wish. My Steam Vents into a Carotid. Obviously not using the Tarn because we don't want to shuffle away the Ascendancy that's on top. I'll play Spellskite into a Hierarch. I play Jeskai Ascendancy, and then we try and go off here. Obviously, I mean, we don't need to go off here, and it would be useful to have the other mana here. But obviously, if he gets to untap, he has access to Abrupt Decay and other potential issues that we don't really want to deal with. So I'm going to loot here, try and find the spell to carry on going. Find Manamorphose. This is fine, but we actually need 1 mana spells. I'm not sure if I loot here. Yeah, I do. So find another Jeskai, and we also draw into a Leyline of Sanctity. So we're going to have to pass the turn, but I think that's going to be fine. Obviously depends on what our opponent does, but we've got the second Ascendancy here, so there's only so much he can do to us. So I draw into Steam Vents, which I'm going to play out. I'm going to Leyline, we're going to play the second Ascendancy. Obviously playing the second Ascendancy is really good, as it's going to let us loot that much further into our deck to find the cards we need to carry on going off. Opponent responds by playing Collected Company and drops Tarmogoyf and Eternal Witness, which gets him back a Thoughtseize, I think. I'm sorry about the chat. Prediction of the end. Yeah, so we're actually very low on time here, which becomes a rather major issue. But we are going to go off here. We're going all sorts of mana. We find a Fate Stitcher, which is nice. So we can use that. Our opponent actually has a path. There is that, and he doesn't redirect with the Spellskite, which he probably should have done, but it doesn't make a ton of difference because we've got 2 Jeskai Ascendancies, so we're making a lot of mana. Regardless, we get rid of the path because we're not too concerned. The Glittering Wish is considerably better. We find another Jeskai Ascendancy, which is pretty ridiculous, and also is going to speed up the possibility of our clock. The only real problem here is that we're actually getting low on cards in hand. It would be nice to find a Life from the Loam or something, just to restock our hand to looting ability, so we can just loot that much easier. I think I'll loot anyway just to get stuff graveyard, but I definitely want to keep this Glittering Wish because it can find my kill card. And I think here is actually where I run out of time, unfortunately. So yeah, I had the combo. We definitely would have won if we'd had that extra bit of time, but again, inexperience and generally the annoyance of having to stack your triggered abilities and play them in between each triggered ability, etc. Kind of caught up with us, and it ended up making us lose the time. We definitely would have won. I would have fetched up, and I even went for a quick as possible kill. We could have Glittering Wished up a Flesh and Blood, and then we just use these Faithless Lootings to get the rest of the way. We're getting our Carotids getting +3/+3 each time we play a spell, and we've got 3 Faithless Lootings in the bin. So we would have been able to dig further and carry on going. No real risk of fizzling, even though we have not an ideal number of cards in hand. And we also could have played out the Fate Stitcher as well and made a bit more mana as well, if necessary. But yeah, it's a difficult deck to play. It takes a lot of time, and yeah, that's the reason we lost. But we should have won by all rights, really, except for the clock.